Hello and welcome to Women's Biz Podcast. I'm Annie Gibbins, founder and CEO of Women's Biz Global, and I invite you to get comfortable and listen in on candid conversations I have with fascinating women from around the globe. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, humanitarians, athletes, and a whole lot of regular people. Tune in as they let their guard down and open up on aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure success, and what they have learned along the way. These conversations aim to inspire you to embrace opportunities and possibilities beyond the limits of your imagination. Reclaim your power, strength, and vulnerability. Stand in your truth and propel yourself towards the life you dream to live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women's Biz Podcast. It's great to be with you today. I just get excited every week just joining you on this wonderful podcast, and you will enjoy today immensely. I have Kerry Tepedino joining me. She is the CEO and founder of the One Thought Away Project, a global company and movement that's influenced 250,000 plus people to transform their lives. And we're all about that. We're all about just living our best life, realizing that there's stages in our lives that we get to and go, you know what, there's more. There's a better version of me. There's a new opportunity, and it's going to require transformation. And Kerry is going to be able to share her journey today. And most importantly, it's going to be a real journey. Kerry struggled with low self-esteem, a lack of self-worth, poor body image. So many of us relate to that, and it spiraled into a personal battle with an eating disorder. I've had that same experience back when I was only 12 years of age, and I totally relate to how those sorts of things can happen. And her journey led to a poignant and defining moment in her life that she made the decision to continue down a path of unhappiness and poor health, or to find freedom and happiness that, you know, your soul for all of us craves. And I'm glad it did for her. So I'm looking forward to our chat today. Kerry, welcome to the program.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I am so honored to be here. I know that you don't throw anybody in front of your audience. And so I'm very honored to be here and having this candid chat with you today. So thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So I'd love you just to share with the listeners, who is Kerry? Tell us a little bit about your business now. What are you doing now, and how are you helping serve people? And then we'll unpack your journey.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. So I always say my business birthed itself out of necessity. It was exactly the support I needed when I needed it, and I couldn't find it. And so once I got to my other side of my healing, which we can talk about, and I'm happy to share whatever I can to support anybody here. But once I started my own healing process, there was this deep sense of responsibility. Maybe you felt this way too at some point. Like once you feel like you finally cracked the code on something that has been so hard and challenging for you, I felt like a deep responsibility to then give it away. Like, okay, now that I have found a way off the bathroom floor, right? Like crying on the bathroom floor, no other woman that, like, if I can give this to any other woman, like it's now my calling to do so. Like what worked, what didn't work. And so that's how I've been in the industry for 20 plus years in personal development, and really leading with mindset mastery. You know, we have the One Thought Away book, and it's like you're one thought away from staying in the struggle or not. You're one thought away from being happy today or not. You're one thought away from hitting that next level of income or your business goals or not. And it's going to start in how we think.
I love that concept, one thought away. I mean, it really is. And so often we get bogged down into the next step is going to be so huge, so challenging, because you look at all the steps and the magnitude of it. But those changes do start with one thought today to go, you know, that's right. As I said in your intro, you're either going to continue spiraling or you're going to change it into a positive. Don't have to know what all of that looks like, but it is a thought, and it's the combination of all of those thoughts, isn't it?
It is. And also sharing with our friends here that it doesn't mean it's always easy,
Mm,
right? It just like, no matter even how much fame or fortune or riches or how skinny you are, which was really important to me decades ago, which led to the eating disorder, was really a sense of insecurity, right? The eating disorder, the 50 extra pounds, and then the losing all that. It was just all a symptom to something else going on, which was that I didn't have mindset mastery skills. I didn't have emotional mastery skills, relationship to self skills. And because I didn't have those skills, many areas in my life were spinning. But
mm,
like for our friends here today, it when you it so once you embark on really stepping into your dream life, it doesn't mean that it's all going to be peaches and cream now, right? Like none
exactly.
of us, yeah, like nobody, no matter how much fame, fortune, how beautiful you are, how funny you are, whatever, how smart you are, none of us escape life. Like
Mm,
life is going to happen to all of us, but really it's about, who do you get to be in those moments so that those moments don't take you down. And those moments, quite honestly, don't feel like the end of the world once you have a certain level of skill set.
mm,
They're then like opportunities for growth, right? So, I mean, my life is not perfect. I am not perfect. I'll be the first to say it. And, but yet I will always stay a student to this work because why wouldn't I? Why would
mm.
I choose to stop? Like, this is as far as I'm going to go in my life, or this is as far as I'm going to go in my
Exactly.
business, or this is as far, like, why stop there when there's always a next opportunity to elevate or to many people are conditioned to think that change equates to pain, but
Mm,
what we really stand for in our coaching programs and our community is change equates to opportunity, right?
yeah.
And that's mindset. That's mindset.
Mm. So true, so true. Often that's right. You automatically go, oh, if I've got to do something new, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. It's like going to the gym or something. Whereas it actually can just mean freedom. It can mean release.
Yeah,
It can mean like just the
absolutely.
weight of the world off your shoulders. I'd love to, if I can, tap into the eating disorder side
Mhm.
for you, because I think that's going to really help listeners. It's an area we often don't talk about, and it's a time that, for me, it was a time in my life that I didn't have any control. So it ended up being a bit of a sense of control. Even though you're out of control, it felt a sense of control at that time. And I know you've already mentioned the word, mindset mastery. It's a time that you're not, loving yourself, but you think you're trying to do something. Was there a time in your life that you actually pinpointed that it was the cause, or did you know that immediately? Did that come through you unpacking it later on? Because we've been also talking about, that ability to have that mindset shift and be able to choose that. But when these patterns of behavior, if you like, start from young ages, often they do, you haven't been able to develop all of those skills. So it's one of those, it's nice to say you need to have them, but you're not equipped. So that's where it can become such a rocky journey. And this is when I meet people who've been struggling in this way for maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, because they're always been sort of trying to move, but they haven't got those sort of skills and don't know where to start.
Skills and support, right? So a big part is having the right people around you, being in the right conversations, knowing it's okay to ask. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength to ask for support. And
Mm,
so knowing that you don't have to figure it out on your own. Like there are people, me, you, there are people that have already figured it out. And so allow them to hand the strategy to you on a silver platter so that you save yourself time, money, and heartache, actually. But yes, I would say there were a few defining moments. I call them defining moments, where along my healing journey, there were a few defining moments where I defining moments, I would say, are those moments where you kind of wake up a little bit, at least a little bit. You wake up to the you that you were the moment before into a new understanding of you in that moment, a defining moment. And it was before I had this company. I worked in the corporate world. I was doing design work in a corporate space, and I had a really big deadline the next day. And I was really nervous. What am I going to deliver? What is my boss going to think? What are my peers going to think? I felt a lot of pressure around it because, again, I had quite a bit of insecurity. So what other people thought of me meant probably more than it really needed to, right? And because I didn't have the sense of self inside of me, I didn't have the skills around that at that time. And so I remember that night driving home from the office. I can even see it. I could see myself on the freeway. My hands are on the wheel, and I'm like, "Don't stop at the store, Kerry. Don't stop at the store, Kerry." And because I knew I didn't actually need groceries, I had plenty of food at home. I wasn't going to starve if I went straight home. But when I got to my neighborhood, where did I find myself? I found myself outside of the store. And as I walk into the store, I say, this time it's going to be different. Right. And just like 1,000 promises before around this time it's going to be different that I had broken with myself, I went up and down the aisles, putting all my comfort food in my cart and saying, this time I'm going to eat this food like a normal, quote unquote, normal person. It's going to last me a whole week or a whole 2 weeks. And I pay for the groceries. I get home. I'm actually hungry at this time because I haven't eaten dinner. It's getting quite late. And I'm putting the groceries away, and I come to the peanut butter jar, and I, unscrew that blue lid, and I peel back that silver foil, and I'm just going to have one bite. And, I stick, this is my spoon. I stick that spoon in, and one bite becomes two, and two becomes three, until, the spoon hits the bottom of the jar. And I break trust in myself again, like I have done so many times before. And for me at the time, I was bulimic. And so I took that long journey down the hall to the bathroom where I try to purge it out, and it doesn't work. And especially with peanut butter of all things, right? And that was the night that it was a defining moment for me, because I found myself crying on my cold white tile floor, and my heart was racing. And I knew enough about health at that point to know my electrolytes had become imbalanced. It was affecting my cardiovascular system. One of my best girlfriends, or a good girlfriend from college, her mom had died of an eating disorder because her organs failed. So I had a personal connection to what, like, it just woke me up, like what I was actually doing.
Yeah.
And it became a terrifying moment for me around like, oh my gosh, I am actually killing myself. Like, this isn't just some habit. Like, this is now having negative impact on me. And that was a wake up moment for me. It really was. It was like, okay, I have a decision to make. Either keep doing what I'm doing, and this could lead to what happened with my friend's mom, or pick yourself up, figure this out, heal, change your life. And in hindsight, honestly, looking back on that moment, it was God-given strength to me in that moment to pick myself up and change my ways. And it didn't just change. It was a hard journey.
Yeah.
It felt like, anybody who's ever broken an addiction understands it is like pulling out teeth and hair without having anything to numb you out. And it is physically painful to break an addiction. But what I finally understood was that it was even more painful to stay in it.
Yes.
And I realized it was costing me too much to stay in it. Like, it was now costing me my life. It could be costing me my life. And so that led me on a journey around the world. I studied with monks. I studied under an Ayurvedic doctor in India. I studied, like, I came back in the US. I'm in Southern California. I got licensed as a holistic health practitioner and a certified counselor in nutrition. I did a 2-year course, I think it was 2 or 3-year course in biodynamic craniosacral therapy. So I was a craniosacral therapist, which is trauma resolution work. Yeah. So I really buckled down to, number one, help myself. But then I understood that there was, like we were talking about earlier, like I felt a sense of responsibility. Like I loved graphic design. I could have done that my whole life. But I then understood that God had a different calling on my life. And that's how this business, actually, I always say this business birthed itself out of necessity.
Absolutely. You can do all these different things. What I love about your sharing there, Kerry, is, and this makes sense, hopefully it will to the listeners. Often I get people saying, because they've had an experience, why do they think, they can be a coach in that area? And it's because they know it so personally, so deeply. It was so profound. And often I see exactly what you've done. You actually go above and beyond in your, understanding of it and credentials of it, because the pain was so strong. You've got to have a counter. You've got to get that moment that you go, yeah, the cost of what you were doing now has to be, the reward has to be so much better. You have to have that moment of going, this is not working and it's hurting me. And when you get that reality of it could cost my life, but also then now it must have been meant for something. And maybe I am that one. And it's not that you just go, oh, because I've been through this, I can coach others. To actually go and do all that extensive work and study it and get the qualifications. I tell you what, it makes you the most amazing coach to people, because when others are going through this, and I know there'll be listeners who have battled in this way, it may be an eating disorder, but it might be any other addiction. It's going to have that same process, isn't it? It's like something that you just auto default do. That's right. Just suddenly, like, you appear at the grocery store. For someone else, they'll be, addicted to sex, addicted to gaming, addicted to some other, form of, escapism, if you like, or sense of control or sense of importance or whatever it is. It is hard to break. It is really hard to break it and to be able to move on. And to do that, it means that you have to immerse yourself in the positive, in the benefits. And through that journey then, did you find that you then suddenly met other people? I think you mentioned before, you need a support system. You need to have other people around you who get you, who are on your side, who aren't there to judge you, are there to bring out the best in you.
Yeah, so I started to meet other women, in my courses and stuff like that, and we formed friendships. And I also, and this part was a little scary, it might be a little scary for some of our friends, but I also released friendships or relationships that weren't then serving where I wanted to go, because I had relationships at the time that our sense of fun was going out partying and maybe drinking and all the things. And that's just wasn't resonating with me anymore. It wasn't aligned. So I started to form a community also, our mentorship community happened because it was what I couldn't find when I needed it. And now I can honestly say, like, my clients, my coaching team, my staff, my clients become like family to me and my team, right? Because you start doing, like, this is some of the most intimate work, most powerful work that you could ever do, is the journey back home to you, right? And like that sacred journey of the self. And we call each other lifers, because you don't just do the celebration or the celebratory moments together, you do all the moments. And it's just such a beautiful and special bond. Not only is it accountability, you learn to be the owner of all your results, the results you have, the results you don't have, but you also have people who are really invested in your success, just as
Yeah.
you become invested in their success, because you really start to care about the other women that are in the community and in your program. And so I don't know how people can do it alone. I just don't know how they could ever do it. I don't think it's possible.
You do get to a point like that, and I'm like that. I mean, on one way, I felt like I had to pioneer and go through my career journey, a lot of it alone. And that's why I started Women's Biz Global. It's because we need to do things better. It's probably in a bit of a different era, and I didn't have any friends who were sort of, juggling multiple children and doing careers and bits and pieces. But I tell you what, it's just like, it's a no-brainer to have a support community. I think everyone needs mentoring, coaching, that
Me
it's
too.
about finding someone who is ahead of you on their journey,
Yeah.
who can then, if your journey is not going to be exactly like theirs, you're not following in their footsteps, but you're learning from their experience, their wisdom. And as you shared there before, you want to be, become like family. You're on their side. You're wanting to bring out the best in them. So those people who have then been in your community, how have you seen, as a transformation expert, how have you seen them grow? How have their life changed? Those people listening in who are like, I'm ready to take the next best step. I know I need transformation. What I'm doing isn't working for me. I need to join a group. But what's going to happen? What is the result? What's the, what can they actually achieve that other people under your watch have?
Oh my goodness. We have thousands of testimonials, but it makes me think of one of our graduates. Her name's Giselle. And when Giselle first found us, she was also living in Southern California, working about 80 hours a week as a mortgage broker, and about 50 pounds overweight, in a marriage that she wasn't happy in. Took a course for hypothyroidism, for blood sugar imbalances, just, fibromyalgia. Like, she just was, her health was a mess. Just a lot of different parts of her life. She was unhappy, and she found us, and she shares her story, and she says she realized that if she didn't make a change, nothing would change, because she had been on that path for so long, which is what happens for a lot of us. We're on a path. Even if we're not happy, we stay on the path because it's what we know. And so Giselle jumped into our 1-year program, and she really went for it. Doesn't mean she was doing it perfectly. Doesn't mean that there wasn't resistance sometimes or pushback, but she took the coaching. And she messaged me about 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit more. And she was showing me these pictures. First of all, she sent me a before picture and where she was now. And it was unbelievable. Like, she's lost 50 pounds. She is so happy. She's like dressing fashionably again. She went through a divorce. That was, when she found us, it was the beginning of a bitter divorce, but she now came through the divorce, and she had met somebody else and gotten remarried in this just magical union in Turkey, where the guy is from, like, this little village. She said it was amazing. Like, the cars were all following them through the village at 20 miles an hour and took them down to the ocean, where they got on a boat, went out to sea, and they had their wedding ceremony with, I think she said, rose petals around her. I mean, it's truly a fairy tale. She now lives in Turkey with him, and they're climbing castles at sunset. And like, she's a writer now with a view of the Mediterranean from her patio. Like, things that she had dreamt of, that she did, like, on her vision board, was the Mediterranean Sea. And now she's actually living in Turkey with a view of it from where she's writing her, like, it's just amazing. Like, and that's just one testimonial. That's just one story. Giselle's just one of them. But here's the thing that I want to share with our friends here today, is that if Giselle can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Right. If you get the right strategies in the right order and the right people around you, why not? If I can change my life around, if I can do it, you could do it. If Giselle can do it, you could do it. And it starts, like, it's that one thought away. It's about getting the skills to even allow yourself to let it come in, to let the results, the elevated results, come into your life. A lot of people are not in these conversations. They're in very fear-based conversations around what's happening in the world, or politics, or the economy, or their own lives, their own jobs, their businesses. Did they lose an account? Did they not get that account? Or like there's so many ways that we can stay in fear or not. Right. And again, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be perfect. Doesn't mean my life is perfect, but I'm not willing to unpack my bags and live in a place that doesn't make me happy. I'm not willing to have my life stop there. I didn't come this far to only come this far. Giselle didn't come that far to only go that far, right? And that's one thing that I want to share with our friends here today, is that it really doesn't matter what your current age is, your current shape, your current diagnosis, your current wherever your bank account is or your business is. Like, I promise you, if you're willing to do what it takes, you can turn your life around. You can turn it around. Doesn't mean everybody around you is going to understand it. Doesn't mean everybody around you is going to support it, especially if they're on a downward trajectory. But so you get to be really selective who's influencing how you think. You get to choose to get into empowered conversations, empowered communities, and have one plan for your life, and that's plan A. Like, none of us showed up and said, "Okay, I'm willing to live a plan B life," right? Like, we all want the plan A life, and so that takes a commitment. That takes a commitment.
It does. And for those of you who've got your vision boards, and we've all got versions of them, whether it's on a board or whether it's the way you decorate your house, or it's a picture of things that you've cut out from magazines and you've just kind of got hanging around, because they're like daydreams. They're stirring your soul. They're little things that we all do, whether we've done it consciously or unconsciously, and things like that. When you actually start making these steps and then thinking, you know what, these things are there for a reason. They are possible, and they might take a period of time, and they're definitely not going to happen overnight. But I love that testimonial that you gave, because it obviously meant that, once you started leaning into that future that she was really born to have anyway, you then start, it's not surprising that she ended up in the Mediterranean. It's not surprising that these things happen. And while we've, had a lot of this conversation around weight, and for her, it might have been that first thing was the weight reduction, because for her, it was causing her to be unhealthy. For other people, that might not be their thing, or they might be very happy and it might not be adversely affecting their health. Whereas for others, if it is, if you're doing something that is actually harming you and holding you back, look at that. It's like sometimes that's the first thing, but then the next steps and all those next extra thoughts and extra opportunities, as you've called them, will then start revealing themselves to you. Like her then going, when you've lost that weight, now you can climb up to visit castles. Now you can go and do these activities in your lifetime. Now you can, off the couch, do things that interest you, or you have the enough energy to put into your business or play with your kids or do different things. And it also then shows you, if I can do that, I can do the next thing, the next hard thing, because there will be a whole sequence of hard things. I also love what you've touched on a couple of times today too, which is, looking at those people around you. And it's not like you have to flick everybody, but a lot of those people have supported the version that you've become, consciously. Maybe they just don't want to hurt you. They don't want to say, hurtful things to you, or maybe they actually go, that makes them feel better if you're at a certain level. There's a whole lot of things happening there, but most of the time it's about consciously going, are those people helping me be this better version of myself? And it sometimes does require, and that's hard, distancing them a little bit and then bringing new people into your world who are going to be those positive influences, because they're just like a ray of sunshine, aren't they? I just go, they're a magnetic force. They're just an energy level that goes, I've got you, sister. I want to help you. I want to encourage you. I want to support you. I want to keep you accountable. When you say you want to do something, have you done it? Has it worked for you? Tell me about it. Even if you're going through a hard time, tell me the hard times. They're the true friends when they talk through those challenging times, because, you're going to come out stronger. And we're also going to be here on that journey together. It's really, a wonderful opportunity, and I think we'll finish up there with self-leadership. You know, what you've shown is self-leadership in your journey. What you're coaching people to have is that self-leadership over their own self-worth, self-love, abilities, opportunities, reaching their potential. I think that's a huge part of transformation.
It's huge. And by the way, Giselle is on no medications now. She has a totally clear bill of health, because it was the emotional work, the inner work, that was causing all the disease and the diagnoses. So she's totally free, which is amazing. And yeah, there's always opportunity here, you know, and that your personal development work is, I believe, your greatest return on investment. It is what's going to, and you hear this from, Warren Buffett and, those big investors, and they'll say, invest in yourself first, so that you can take that, nutrition plan, or that fitness plan, or that relationship plan, or whatever it is, that wealth plan, so you can stick it out, right? And not be pulled off course on days that might feel a little stressful, or a little harder, or a lot harder, right? Yeah. So, and for me personally, I know that with every aspect of my life, including my business, like my business has been one of my greatest spiritual journeys for me, for sure, because you just discovering what you're made out of, right? Yeah. And how to like pull down from the depths of you and find that resilience and that grit, and hit certain goals, maybe even bigger goals than you ever imagined, which is what happened for me. And, so I believe that the journey of being an entrepreneur is an amazing spiritual journey. And it definitely, and like stepping into your leadership, right? Because you have to be a strong leader to launch a business and sustain a business. Yes. And I think that your personal development work goes hand in hand with like your business coaching, like business coaching with you, personal development with me, like it's actually a beautiful marriage of the two. You know, like you don't want to leave any part of it behind, Exactly. So I just think that, there's so much possibility. It's limitless, really. Like there's so much opportunity for our friends here. Just make sure, you guys, that you get the right people around you. You're allowing people who are at least 2 steps ahead of you to influence your thinking. People that you see that they've done it too. They have what you want to create. And it wasn't just silver spoon to them. Like they've done the hard
work. They've done the hard work because they've learned those lessons. When you're given it, it's like you don't, it might work for a while, but you don't have all the deep thinking, the challenge, the rationale. Right. You haven't developed that resilience, and you don't know the why, why something happened and what the steps were to overcome it, and that there can be a choice of steps, and some people do it this way and other people did it that way. I totally agree with that. I love what you said there, Kerry. You need, I'm a big believer of a professional coach and a personal coach, because it does go hand in hand. You bring yourself personally to that business venture. You're not just at work. You might think you are, but you're hiding a lot of things. You go to work with you. And also while you're in your personal life, all those little things that you're thinking about in your business, they're all interrelated. It's so important, and it is so important to find someone who really is the real deal. So when our listeners, we're looking at coaches for different opportunities that you might have ahead, look for ones who've got runs on the board, that have been there a long time, that have got testimonials, they've got examples of how they have helped other people. Look for the results. Don't necessarily just look for what they say they're going to do. Look at the results of what they do. Well, congratulations on all the amazing work that you have done. One thought away. I love that. So definitely check out Kerry, everybody. I'll have your details in our show notes. She's a woman who has, had an amazing journey, had a massive transformation, and is now now been able to help, 250,000 plus people. What an amazing achievement. So well done you. And I look forward to hearing from our listeners. Definitely put wherever you're watching or listening to this show, whether it's YouTube or LinkedIn Live, or whether it's on our platforms, our audio platforms, put in some comments, ask us some questions. We would love to get back to you. That's what it's all about, engagement in the conversation. There might be something that has sparked your interest today that you go, you know what, that's right, I'm stuck in a rut. I'm stuck in a situation that is actually toxic for me. That's not working for me, but I don't know how to go from A to B. That's right. That's the biggest reason. Or I fear that it's going to be too hard. I fear that I'm not going to be able to. I tell you what, you've got two ladies here today who know that you can, that you are able. It's just that you need a little helping hand. So reach out to us, and I value all of our wonderful listeners. And thank you so much, Kerry. You've been a great guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to support whatever questions come up. I'm here for you guys, and continue the great work you're doing.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Women's Biz Podcast. I'm Annie Gibbins, founder and CEO of Women's Biz Global. And if you would like to fast track your future success, pop on over to womensbizglobal.com, where you can find out how our coaching, media and publishing opportunities are helping women just like you to become and be seen as the trusted authorities in their niche. Inquire today and start reining in the abundance you desire.